Hi, I'm Steve Schewel, the Mayor of Durham. In normal times, I give my State of the City address at the beginning of each year in the City Council chambers. But in these COVID times, with the Council still meeting virtually until later this summer, I'm delivering my State of the City address in several shorter video messages instead. The first of these messages address the COVID situation in Durham now, the difficult year we have come through, the way we have begun to triumph over the virus together, and what we still must do to truly defeat the virus and fully open up our city again. Today is the second video message as part of my State of the City address. If you really want to understand the state of our city and the soul of our city, you need to hear about our budget, our fabulous budget for the fiscal year starting on July 1st. I know it's strange to hear a budget described as fabulous, but I am so incredibly proud of the way that this budget expresses the values of our community, and I want you to understand why. Our community has come together to forge a vision of our common future, and here is that vision. We, the people of Durham, envision a prosperous, innovative, green, and welcoming city that thrives on diversity and difference, a city that puts racial and economic justice at the top of our civic agenda, that defends the vulnerable among us, that cherishes robust, respectful debate on difficult questions, that embraces nonviolence, that embodies the belief that all residents must have an opportunity to share in our prosperity, a city that serves as a progressive beacon for the South and the nation. I deeply believe that this budget lives up to that common vision. Before I tell you what's in this budget and all the good that it will do, I want to tell you that this budget of just over $500 million is rock solid in its fiscal responsibility. Last year, WalletHub named Durham as the 4th best managed city in America. And this budget is an expression of that superb management by our city manager, Wanda Page, and her staff. This budget establishes a strong fund balance, a rainy day fund, just the kind of fund balance that carried the city through the COVID-19 pandemic in excellent financial shape. We are raising taxes 2 cents this year, about $50 per year for the average Durham homeowner. Most of this tax increase, 1.38 cents, is the tax mandated by Durham voters who overwhelmingly passed a $95 million affordable housing bond in 2019. In a future message, I will talk in detail about the housing bond and the good it will do. But for now, suffice it to say that the bond is part of a $160 million city affordable housing plan that is already well underway and will be building or preserving thousands of units of permanently affordable housing in Durham over the next few years. The bond funds will leverage another $500 million in private investment in affordable housing and provide much better services to our homeless residents as well. The housing bond is nearly twice as large as any other housing bond ever passed in the state of North Carolina and is going to make a world of difference in the lives of thousands of Durham residents. Almost all of the rest of the tax increase, 1/2 cent, is for a new program of green and equitable infrastructure. This tax will produce $6 million per year forever to help make Durham the walkable, bikeable, transit-friendly, and sustainable community we all want to live in. It will fund sidewalks and bicycle infrastructure, crossing signals, bus shelters, trails, and tree canopy. And most important of all, it will fund these assets in the neighborhoods which have experienced generations of disinvestment, racial discrimination, and redlining. Neighborhoods like Bragtown, Northeast Central Durham, Crest Street, and Merrick Moore. This new funding stream helps us live up to our values. And it is a sustainability fund, and it is a racial equity fund. And it is going to do so much good for so many people. Another feature of this budget that promotes racial equity in a significant way is the continuation of the fare free bus service that we initiated during the COVID pandemic. Before the pandemic hit, we had 20,000 boardings per day on our city buses. The great majority of these riders are people of color and do not own a car. As our community reopens post-COVID, continuing this fare-free bus service provides a crucial lifeline to some of our most vulnerable neighbors. Most of the city budget goes to fund core services, things like police and fire protection, solid waste collection, parks and rec programs, while Durham County government includes the school budget, social services, public health, and mental health. let me tell you about one of the city's core services that I guarantee you take for granted every day, even though you use it every day. And it is the most important service that the city provides. When you get up in the morning and go in to brush your teeth, do you expect good, clean, healthy water to come pouring out of the tap? Do you expect it to taste good? And do you expect to get as much of it as you want? Well, I do. I definitely do. And that's not cheap. In the next decade, the city of Durham will spend $1.1 billion in capital funds alone to maintain, modernize, and expand our water and sewer system. We will renovate the dams at two of our reservoirs, Lake Mickey and Little River, and we will continue our ongoing program of replacing crumbling pipes all over Durham. I'm proud to tell you that Durham has a really well-run water utility. Our water is inexpensive compared to other North Carolina cities and of very high quality. And our conservation efforts are working amazingly well. Despite the tremendous increase in Durham's population over the past 10 years, our daily water usage has not increased at all. And I'm happy to tell you that our reservoir capacity is 40 million gallons per day, well over the daily usage of 25 million gallons. Isn't it cool that more than 75 years ago, elected officials in Durham started some great planning so that we have plenty of good water now and into the future? I'm proud that our current budget continues to protect that clean, plentiful water supply for my kids and yours. I'm also proud that this budget sets aside plenty of funding for our Water Hardship Fund so that people who can't pay their water bill can get assistance from the city. This year's budget includes $10 million for paving roads, $5 million for a new fire station, $6 million to upgrade our parks and rec centers. It includes funding to bring Durham Parks and Rec programming out of the COVID era with our camps, teen activities, special events, aquatics, and athletics all back in force to serve thousands and thousands of young people and adults. I'm so excited that the budget includes $1.7 million in funding to continue to advance the design and construction of the Beltline Trail, which will run 2 miles from 5 Points downtown through the central city neighborhoods to the north and east. It's going to take several more years to complete this trail, but when it's completed, it will be a jewel in Durham's crown, useful to so many people traveling to and from downtown and bordered by recreation opportunities and public art. I can't wait to run on that trail. And I can't wait until we cut the ribbon on the new Hoover Road Park. The city is spending nearly $7 million this year to complete the park, which consists of 4 full soccer fields, a badly needed asset in Durham. I have advocated for more fields for years, and they're now about to become a reality, and I want to be there when the first kid kicks the first soccer ball into that net. And right across the street from that new park, the city has just purchased Wheels Fun Park, where generations of Durham children have learned to skate. During this year, the city will be leading a public input process to find out what East Durham residents want at the new Wheels Park. In addition to parks and rec activities, this year's city budget makes the largest commitment ever to our Summer Youth Works program. Thanks to the leadership of City Manager Wanda Page, we will be serving more than 500 young people in internships, the most ever, at a cost of nearly $600,000 in cooperation with Duke University and Durham County. After COVID devastated this program last summer and left so many teens with nowhere to go but the streets, it's great to have YouthWorks up and running again at a very high level. City Council member Pierce Freelon also wants our young people to get through the summer safely and constructively. So he proposed, and the council is funding, a $250,000 program called the We Are the Ones Fund, which will provide mini grants to community-based organizations already working with our youth, especially our young men of color. This year's budget makes another enormous commitment to our young people, a project with special commitment from City Manager Page. With the technical assistance of Duke University, the city is spending $5.7 million to bring high-speed broadband to every Durham Housing Authority community where children live. McDougall Terrace is already fully wired, and we are now expanding our efforts to Cornwallis Apartments and Oxford Manor. This year's budget does so much good. In addition to the new green and equitable infrastructure funding I discussed earlier, We are funding $8 million in new sidewalk construction, $8 million in sidewalk repair, $6 million in bicycle and pedestrian facilities, and $3 million in new pedestrian signals. We are raising the pay of the 2,600 city employees from 2 to 4%, and on top of that, we are paying $6.2 million in bonuses to our employees. And on top of that, for those 1,300 employees who continued to work on the front lines during COVID, we are paying out another $6 million as premium pay for that frontline work. These raises and bonuses will put more money in the pockets of our employees than any budget I've ever voted on, and they deserve it. Water and sewer, road paving, sidewalk construction, parks and rec, that's what cities do, and I'm proud that in this budget we are doing it very, very well. But this budget also contains funding for much critically important work that most city governments don't do, but which we do in Durham because of who we are. Foremost among these innovations is the creation of a new community safety department. Across the nation, a debate is raging about how to create alternative responses to 911 calls that very often don't require an armed police response. In Durham, in this budget, we are doing something big. Our new community safety department will build on Durham's existing mental health and emergency response infrastructure and learn from the best programs from around the country to establish a strong system of unarmed, effective response. The department is initially funded for 15 positions with up to another 15 available to it at mid-year, and it will manage the city's existing commitment of nearly $1 million annually to fund teams of violence interrupters in 4 additional neighborhoods as part of the county's Bull City United network. This new department will allow our police force to concentrate its effort on what we need it to do, effectively fighting violent crime, while mental health calls and quality of life calls can be handled by others. I firmly believe that with the establishment of this department, Durham is headed towards having the best alternative 911 response in the nation. It will take us a while, but I know we can do it. This year's budget is also innovative in another expression of Durham's values. With the leadership of Councilmember Javiera Caballero, we are funding for the first time critical services for our immigrant and refugee communities. This budget says loud and clear to the whole world that everyone is welcome in Durham. Whatever your race or language or country of origin, we want you here in Durham. If you're a refugee fleeing foreign despotism, we want you here. Whatever your documentation status, we want you here and we embrace you. Queremos que estés a salvo aquí. Queremos que vivas libre del miedo. Te damos la bienvenida a Durham con los brazos abiertos y corazones abiertos. This budget says that the people of Durham welcome everyone with open arms and an open heart. In this budget, we are allocating $250,000 to create an immigrant legal defense fund to be housed at a local nonprofit, which will provide legal counsel to Durham residents facing deportation proceedings. The great majority of people facing deportation lack representation in court, and we know that having an attorney changes the odds of success enormously. In this budget, we are also hiring the city's first language access coordinator, and we are joining with the county to hire our first refugee services coordinator. We are also, for the first time, funding a staff position at El Centro Hispano, an organization which is so critical to the well-being of Durham's immigrant communities. Another innovation in this budget that expresses Durham's values is $380,000 to set up and staff a nonprofit to lead the creation of an equity fund to provide much-needed capital to our historically marginalized businesses. During the COVID pandemic, along with Duke University and county government, we have provided financial support to 250 small businesses, most of them owned by women, and most of them owned by Black and brown entrepreneurs. We want to continue to support these businesses who often lack access to traditional sources of capital. Building this equity fund will be a heavy lift. It will take time, and this new nonprofit will be leading the charge. This budget also provides $2.4 million to pave some of the remaining miles of Durham's unpaved roads. It provides $3.4 million to begin building the 9-acre constructed wetland on Trinity Avenue at the site of the old Diet and Fitness Center. This wetland will be a beautiful community amenity, and it will treat 400 acres of stormwater runoff from downtown Durham to keep Ellerby Creek and Falls Lake, which is Raleigh's water supply, clean and healthy. This $12 million project will take several years to complete, and it's great to see it getting underway. This budget extends a 5-year, $500,000 per year contract with Legal Aid of North Carolina to represent Durham residents in eviction court. This work, funded by the council for the past several years, has helped hundreds of families stay in their homes. The budget extends another legal aid contract as well, with $150,000 to fund the DEAR program, the Durham Expunction and Restoration Program. Developed by the city's innovation team several years ago in concert with our DEA's office and the courts and many others, the DEAR program is doing racial justice work of the highest order. Prior to the creation of DEAR, our community was able to provide free legal assistance for very few people who needed their driver's license restored. As a result, thousands who lived in low-income households, mostly our Black and Latinx neighbors, suffered worse consequences for longer periods of time than others who were charged with similar traffic offenses. How much longer? Until the arrival of the DEAR program, there were over 11,000 people in Durham with a suspended license due to unpaid traffic tickets that are, on average, 16 years old. This is not and cannot be justice. As a result of DEAR, and this is truly worthy of our celebration, over 50,000 old traffic charges dating back to the 1980s, but still leading to driver's license suspensions, have been dismissed. 50,000 charges dismissed for 35,000 people. Further, through the DEAR program, we've been able to waive $2.7 million in fines and fees for 11,000 of our residents. This is transformative for the lives of these residents. Everyone who is benefiting from the DEAR program has paid a very steep price. They have lost their license for at least 2 years. They've served time in prison. For Durham to be a city of second chances, there must be an expiration date on what it means to hold someone accountable. And that is what the DEAR program provides, an expiration date on injustice. This budget continues that work, as well as free legal assistance for Durham residents seeking expungement of their records. Last year, the DEAR attorneys filed 960 petitions for expungement free of charge. The innovation funded by this year's budget goes on across every department in the city. I'm so excited that we have allocated $600,000 for our solid waste department to study the opportunity to operate our own materials recycling facility here in Durham so that we can control our own recycling future in the volatile world commodities market. And we have budgeted to begin one of my long-awaited favorite city initiatives, the curbside pickup of organic waste, food scraps, during this fiscal year. I can't wait until we are combining the food scraps from your table with treated solid waste and yard waste to create our own Durham compost. One of our new budget initiatives is in response to the sunsetting of the successor legislation to the General Assembly's notorious bathroom bill, which I know you remember. Finally, Durham is allowed to pass our own local non-discrimination ordinance prohibiting discrimination in employment and public accommodations as well as housing. Finally, we can extend our non-discrimination categories to include gender identity and sexual orientation, among other protected categories. We have passed this ordinance already, and in this budget, we are adding staff to be able to investigate complaints and keep our community free from discrimination. This budget also funds a new kind of listening in Durham. During the past 2 years, the city's Neighborhood Improvement Services Department has sharpened the city's listening skills through our Equitable Engagement Blueprint. We are now reaching out to people who have never had their voices heard before at City Hall, and we desperately need to hear their voices. We are contracting with grassroots community organizations to lead discussions in historically marginalized communities around infrastructure projects and our new comprehensive plan. This budget funds these organizations and the staff to lead this work. From now on, this kind of equitable community engagement will inform the council's budget deliberations. And I'm proud that this year our staff has introduced a racial equity tool that every department will use to evaluate budget requests going forward. We fund racial equity initiatives in the city because racial equity is at the core of our work every day. Another of our key equity initiatives is participatory budgeting, which is grassroots democracy in action. Once again, we are expecting thousands of Durham residents to vote on the projects that they choose to fund in the balloting going on right now. Because of COVID-related need, this year's projects, to be funded with $1 million, are all sponsored by local nonprofits who are helping with COVID recovery. Significantly, also, this is the first year that Durham County and Durham City have come together to offer grants citywide to long-term low-income homeowners, people at or below 30% of the area median income who have lived in their homes for more than 10 years, to offset property tax increases driven by gentrification. The city and county together will be funding this with from $1.2 million to $2.4 million. This is a very important step in keeping our long-term low-income homeowners in their homes as property values soar, and I look forward to its expansion in the future. I hope you can see why I believe so strongly that this year's budget is a fulfillment of our community's beliefs about who we are and who we ought to be. And now we need your help. The American Rescue Plan, passed by Congress, allocates $51 million to the city of Durham to be spent in the next 3 years. We're using $10 million from these funds to fill COVID-related gaps in the city's budget. That leaves more than $40 million to help us meet our community's pressing needs, an exciting and unprecedented opportunity for us. In the next few months, we will be reaching out, listening to hear your voices on how these funds should be spent. I really hope that we will hear from you. Thank you for taking the time with me today to hear about the state of our city as expressed through this year's budget. I'm so proud of it, and I hope you are too. Let's make the city we love a city for all.